3, 2, 1. Love Talk Radio.
Hey, greetings to the body of the people. This man called Chris Dorsey. Thanks for joining us on the People of God. We are going live on Facebook and we're live on Blog Talk Radio. So thanks for joining. And I'm not sure why folks aren't getting notice on Facebook. Well, I'm certainly, I am for certain, I am aware of why folks aren't getting notice on Facebook or YouTube, or live, what all these platforms that are supposed to let folks know that we're broadcasting. I'm constantly told they're never getting notice. So, you know, there you go. Nothing new under the sun. They keep doing the same thing. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how few folks uh, hear this, how many folks hear this, how many persons or citizens hear this. It only matters that the body of the people of God see this, and who knows? Who knows how many folks are watching and paying attention? I mean, we know it's over the years in the millions, in the many millions. So we haven't changed. We're gonna keep going. Everything's exactly like we said it was every step of the way. So it's a blessing to have anyone listening at all, because it seems everyone has lost their mind and there's very little rational thought out there in the public. There's very little, I guess the best word is intellectual honesty, or I guess the best term is intellectual honesty when it comes to how to interact with other human beings and this reality that we are all um, being attacked with, this simulated reality where they tell us these Orwellian Orwellian phrases over and over again, like "alone together," and it's okay not to be okay. And they just are over and over and over again putting out this absurdist reality that is out of literally the book 1984, and and it is just overtly shoved in everybody's face now, and it is readily accepted. um that's a I mean, George Orwell wasn't even the guy's real name. I mean, I'm certain. I mean, he had a divine analysis. He was able to tap into the simulation of society and expose it in a way. Uh, look at look at the name of the antagonist. It's very, I'm certainly very careful, but it is a prototype, uh, is a prototype Synagogue of Satan, last name in George Orwell's book 1984. George Orwell, real name. And this computer's gotten me lazy. I used to have to remember Eric Blair, Eric Arthur Blair, and so we're being bombarded with this. Really, the only place that we're engaging with outside life at all, literally in a normal way. I would say it's not a normal way, but it's a simulation of a normal way. I was happy to see. I really go out limited amounts of times and limited spaces because I mean I've been doing this for years. I've decided, I wish to have little to do with society as I can. Um, but when I go out, I don't wear a mask, and I see most of the other individuals that I'm passing by not wearing a mask. It this coronavirus pandemic has gotten beyond absurd. They like to do their mockery to keep us laughing and to think that this is a big joke, but it's gone beyond absurd with this mask stuff. It is so stupid. It is so dumb. And the same with this civil unrest and the Black Lives Matter stuff. It's gotten beyond stupid with the level that they're taking this to. And they're playing obviously both sides because most individuals, I don't know. I mean, I don't really see that many folks living any kind of normal life of what they used to do. I mean, so many more folks are out of work. There's, you know, another 1.5 million according to their rig statistics. So one knows it's so much more than what they say it is when they're talking about unemployment and like what is employed at all, involved in another's ploy. So yeah, that's right. You're digging your own grave and paying your murderer along the way when one is employed, which is what one wishes to be. So again, this week across many states, but a lot of stuff is going on here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We have the highest eviction rate, I believe, of any state in the country. Richmond is the second highest eviction rate in the country, I believe, to Charleston, South Carolina, and then I think Hampton, Virginia is number 7, and Norfolk's probably in the top 10, and the same throughout the state. So there was a moratorium on that because just in the city of Richmond alone, a very, I don't know, a medium-sized city, for whatever that's worth, less than 200,000 people live in the city of Richmond. Maybe about 1 million people in the metro area. Yeah, Goldstein. Hey, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bill. Wright. That's the antagonist in George Orwell, 1984. Very very grateful for that. Sometimes I'm on to the next thing before I even, I know what it is. Honestly, I remember reading that book, and it was a time when I was reading lots of books. I had a library that I was running. Really, internet, I guess, was pretty prominent at that point, but not as prominent. And I read 1984 from cover to cover, not just the cliff notes, not just watching the movie. And it was, yeah, it's very profound. And if folks are not noticing the quote unquote Orwellian doublespeak that we referenced before, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so getting back to the housing crisis, something like 11% of renters in Richmond are evicted. There are 18, no, almost 2,000, 1998, something like that. Just a few less than 2,000 pending eviction cases right now in the city of Richmond. 1900. That's just now, and in another month it's supposed to quadruple from that. So they had to do this reset because, no, they've overshot their mark on this stuff. They maximize the work, and they maximize the amount of quote unquote money they can replicate off of one individual. And the only problem is they didn't give them enough to be able to keep a roof over their head. They didn't give their slaves enough to keep the roof over their head. So then they have to be evicted. Yep. Yeah. Orwellian doublespeak, race war psyop, DEWs, nooses, uh, hanging heads with microwave mind reading. I mean, all this stuff is relevant. I mean, because they're all tools of the mind control. This broadcast is titled Synagogue of Satan, Simulated Reality, Coronavirus, Black Lives Matter, Agenda 21. The people of God know the Synagogue of Satan is creating a simulated based reality through. I'm going to get rid of that T. I always have a typo somewhere or another. Through their many mind control vehicles, including drugs, murder, rape, and media. So that's what's happening. There's a lot of crazy stuff. Yeah, like Mike Cooper was just saying. Interesting. Orwellian doublespeak, race war psyop, directed energy weapons. Certainly, they're using those everywhere all the time. Nooses, hanging heads with microwave. I mean, the mind control mechanisms. Just, I mean, this was old news when we were talking about this back in like 2010 and 2011. Just do a Google search for United States patents on mind control machines, so we can just get that out of the way. And basically, that's stuff from like 2008, 2009. They're not stopping. They have perfected their mind control machines that they have been working on forever, that they've been a part of human history forever, and now they're getting very, very good at utilizing and creating utilizing them and creating a easily mass broadcast mind control messages, microwaves, which is basically how that. I mean, again, I'm not going to go through this again for the umpteenth time. Do a Google search. All the mind control machines, they're basically the same concept. And I read a book, or reference a book called the occult teachings of Agrippa, and they were utilizing these techniques, these mind control techniques, these sonic mind control techniques, even back then. And later on in the show, if we get some time, I will do readings, probably again for the third or fourth or fifth time, about these mind control techniques through sonic implementation. Have been around since the Middle Ages, and they were published, documented and published 600 years ago, and back even farther. That's just an example that I use. The commentaries on the occult teachings of Agrippa. Go ahead, David.
Well, what I was going to say is they often manifest in popular music. Like, for instance,
Certainly.
The scientists or evil geniuses over the years have let's just say the sounds, the vibration, and the patterns in popular music. There are times where they're specifically designed to open up up and make you vulnerable and susceptible to their programming and brainwashing. It's a very subtle, ingenious way that only a crazed individual's mind can think of, but that's just something to think about. The popular music, the sounds and the vibrations have been carefully orchestrated to put you in a certain state. But like Chris said, that's for another time. I just thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, okay. Let's get into that again, and I might as well just operate this like I operate things when I'm at all making progress or doing well. It's just it's a matter of okay. Let's see if we can find this. This is a book by Willy Schroeder, and it's titled "Commentaries on the Occult Philosophy of Agrippa." So I didn't even get the name right, but I've read this book many times over the years, and I reference it. And this is about this guy. Henry Cornelius Agrippa. There's a couple of Agrippas in popular culture, historical culture, and I think the other one is a Roman. But again, this is he was born in Cologne, and he was from a knightly family, the Nettesheim family. But in any event, I want to get to the part about what is this? About just open at a weird. Okay, call to muster. That's what that is. I want to get to the part about how they can manipulate, especially through what David was saying, the tones of the beats in the tones and the beats in music, and how this was common knowledge 600 years ago, and now it has just been weaponized to a scale of preciseness for mass mind control. Power of musical tones. Okay, so here we go. The power of musical tones, and this is from Willy Schroeder's Commentaries on the Occult Philosophy of Agrippa, and this is Henry Cornelius Agrippa. I think the other one is Ancient Rome, but in any event, I'm remiss in not knowing that if someone can be more exact about the other well-known Agrippa. But here we're talking about the power of musical tones. We're referencing this regarding our conversation on mass mind control through music. And I'll get into something that's, kind of funny, at least to me, except for it's scary after this. The power of musical tones in inanimate nature. Even elements rejoice in melodies. The halcyon spring, otherwise quiet and still, bubbles up merrily and overflows its banks at the sound of a flute. The same phenomenon was reported by an experienced traveler to his friend Professor Hans Sturdener, born 1889. Although he did not name the place, and the professor swears it was no traveler's tale, the lady friend of the wander apostle thought the singing of the human voice as the noblest instrument of all must have an even greater effect. As a matter of fact, in the Sri Lankan jungle, there is a sacred spring tasting of soda that is so sensitive to sound that loud speech and songs make it bubble. The expedition sent there to find out why this happens did not publish an explanation. However, at all events, when the elephants came to drink, they trumpeted before dipping their trunks. In the animal world, harmonious music keeps in tune with the heavenly bodies. Indeed, it attracts dumb brutes, serpents, birds, and dolphins to listen to its melodies. Birds are lured by pipes, and stags are caught by means of them too. In the lake of Alexandria, fish are assembled by clapping. Dolphins are made friendly to humans by tones of a lute. Northern swans will follow the sound of a zither. The Indian elephant is tamed by organ notes. The Arab maintain that a laden camel gains strength from the song of its driver. Okay, so we'll go on and on. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. We learned. Okay, in humans, and this is all Agrippa, and I'll tell you when it stops being Agrippa and starts being Schroeder, as I've done before, but have not done. You can probably tell the difference in the writing. In humans, this is Agrippa. In humans, also the influences of the stars are not absent from musical harmony, since it is the supreme pattern maker of all. When properly adjusted to the heavenly bodies, it elicits celestial effects in a marvelous way and alters the mood, intentions, gestures, and movements, as well as the activities and dispositions of the listeners, and suddenly transports them to whatever it is expressing, whether joy or sadness, boldness or composure. Okay, so there we go. There we go, y'all. I mean, that, you listen to certain music, it makes you sad. You listen to certain music, it makes you angry. It's those tones, and that's how these mind control machines are communicating with one's or the masses of brains out there. That's how they're communicating, through these tones. Do you hear them? I mean, yeah, if you listen to the music, if you turn on a television, if you look at a screen, a television screen of any kind, whether it be on your phone or on a laptop or on a large screen, they're always communicating with those tones through these devices. And what do? I mean, they're high-pitched frequencies, barely audible, and they are sub-hidden through white noise. Again, folks can say whatever they wish and sound as stupid as they wish, but I mean, if you can fake United States patents, or if you can't figure out how to patent old material, I mean, there's patents on certain kind of wheels. There's patents on certain kind of every device, even if it's been made from the beginning of time. They'll patent it. They'll figure out a way to monetize and patent those things. So I know that they did this kind of stuff 600 years ago. I'm reading the writings of a 15th century philosopher, verifying how they use this stuff, and it's nothing new. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. Sorry to interject.
Just go ahead.
I don't want to confuse people. I want to let them know that. See.
Yeah, it's better to wish for those things, David. Again, but go ahead. Yeah, just say it. No need to preface it.
Yeah, we don't mean all music. We mean like mostly the popular music, the mass media that most individuals.
But what I'm saying is, no, David. All music does this. all music elicits a certain kind of effect. All sounds, that's a natural reaction of human beings. It but what I'm saying, go ahead, David.
Right, right. But see what it's being used for. It's being used for a bad mind control manipulation. Now, let's say, like for instance, I was thinking, like like let's say church hymnals in a place of worship where where God actually exists and the worship of God is
But
present.
wait,
Now,
David, hold on. I don't know. I mean, God exists everywhere because God created all things. And anything or any being that created something was created by God, because humans can't replicate and create a horse. So whatever created a horse created man as well. So God is everywhere, obviously. So go ahead, because I wish to get to something, because obviously, yeah, some music is like better than others, and better, or that serves a better purpose, expands the mind. Some contracts the mind. Some gets folks to be calm and serene. Other music, like you're saying, church music.
yeah, like
Go ahead.
when they play music in church. See, whenever I say church, churches today, God is present because most 501c3s we talk about worship Satan, but our ancestors used music in church as a way to uplift, and a way, to using it for good. Now, popular music and mass media, they use it for the opposite. I mean, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate. I mean, I don't think that that's a whole cloth thing, and I can tell you, these individuals, they're not just going to be 100% evil all the time. They can control everything at a level where they can be much more precise than things being so black and white, is what I'm saying. What I'm saying, David, because they use it for what I mean. It's not so cut and dry. I'm just telling you what they're doing, that they have control, that they can, that when they wish to make folks get angry, they can do it on a mass scale, they can do it on a macro scale, and they can do it on a micro scale. And so it doesn't have to be this is good, this is bad. Obviously, anything engaged in usury, and if you're having a difficult time hearing it, I don't know if there's been a link already connected to the comment section, but as we say every week, this is on Blog Talk Radio. So under the Militia Intelligence Report. So somebody will probably, hopefully, David, if you could, are you able to post that connection?
Yeah,
Or Clifford? Okay. Okay. So that's the other thing. Whatever you wish to do. So let's keep going with this, because it's something that we've repeated time and time again, but it's an interesting subject, and not many folks pay attention to it, and they have no idea. They're surprised even by the obvious stuff. Thanks Matthew Collins. Um, by the obvious stuff. And yeah, just before I forget, thanks to David, uh, David Edgerly, and Sam, or actually, I think it's British Lebanese. Um, thanks for the donations, and yeah, I'm trying to, if I forgot you, I'll look back at the list. It's, and I've already said your name because a lot of folks are redonating. but thanks for the donations to the people of God. I'm gonna get into some I guess organizational people of God related stuff at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, here we go. This is from Robert Flood. This is We Learn from Robert Flood. This is occult commentaries on Agrippa, commentaries on the occult philosophy of Agrippa. That's Henricus Cornelius Agrippa. We learn from Robert Flood, 1574 to 1637, that the Rosicrucians deliberately operated with combinations of tones which they associated with astrological aspects. This, it is no wonder that the brothers have been able to draw to themselves princes and potentates by their knowledge and employment of such music. And now the time has come to ask and answer the question: how is it possible for the distant stars, the constellations, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc., to influence the development of the psyche? Now no one maintains on theoretical grounds that this is what has to happen. It is experience that teaches us that this is what does happen. In effect, the distant stars resolve themselves in symbolic images of dynamic constellations connected with the annual orbit of the Earth around the Sun, and the planets as siblings of Earth are involved with its dynamics of our solar system, within the tension field of which all terrestrial life exists. Agrippa continues here. This is Agrippa again. That was Schroeder. It calms the mind, elevates the soul, inflames the warrior inflames the warrior for battle, lightens labor, consoles misery, raises the fallen and despairing, and refreshes travelers. Those who bear heavy burdens are in the habit of singing, and this makes their work easier. Saxo Grammaticus tells in his Danish history of a musician who boasted that he could make people so crazy by his playing that none of the hearers could release themselves from its spell. When the king ordered him to make good his words, he worked on people's feelings by various melodies and filled the auditors in an unusually solemn way with gloom and horror, then passing with more lively notes from sobriety to merriment. He transported them to a gleeful frame of mind and actually inveigled them into making indecent movements and gestures. Finally, he deprived his listeners of their senses by his increasing vehemence to such a degree that their excitement rose to madness and frenzy. Now remember, these tones are well known and documented, and they can micro-target the tones at an atomic level, at a subsonic level, and deliver them into one's brains. And this is according to United States patents from 30 and 40 years ago. That's what they could do back then. They really had everyone going with this this fear of being called a quote unquote conspiracy theorist. It's, none of what we're talking about is conspiracy. It's just documented fact. And that's what you know with the system. On some level, they have to put their name or put an organization name or turn it and make a corporate fiction in order to monetize their creation, because money, as we all know, is the ultimate mind control. But these mind control machines that are putting ideas into individuals' heads, making them go crazy, making them blind and apathetic, making them a shell of a human being. It's old stuff. It's old stuff. Okay, so we just covered that Saxo Grammaticus talks about this is from Danish history. A musician saying, "Hey, I can make a crowd do anything I wish," and the king says, "All right, do it," and then the guy does it. So this is what they know. I mean, if you've been to a concert before, and I've been to a lot of them, and if one comprehends that all these musical, incarnations, genres, etc., they're all military intelligence apparatus, and that's just the fact. It seems like this guy was summoned by the king. It's the same sort of concept. Somebody's in charge, and it's not you. Somebody else is in charge of controlling your mind, and it's not you. And if you control your own mind and say a certain number of things, these folks will attempt to control your mind by attacking you overtly, censoring you. I mean, every act that's being done now has been done since the beginning of time. These are old tactics. Nothing's new. So, I mean, I just find what I find humorous is my own, and what I see is obviously the general population having an even worse problem with denying the truth through I would say mostly shaming individuals who look into things and who don't take some absurd lie and accept it at face value, or at least pretend to so much that then it becomes real. It becomes real to them, these lies. So we go forward. This is Schroeder commentating about the Danish king summoning the mind control musician to the court and making everybody like lose their freaking minds. That was the English translation that we get from Agrippa. Now we know of popular, and that's Henricus Cornelius Agrippa, not the Roman one. I think it's the Roman one. Now we know of popular songs that they have sparked off epidemics of suicide. That's what they've been saying for a long time, and of the mass hysterical riots of rock and roll fans constantly reported in the daily press. And one has only to think of Beatlemania. Again, Beetle, obviously the front the front of the hypothalamus looks like a scarab beetle. That's why you get all these beetle references with the ancient Egyptians. It's representing that same thing. All of these ancient symbols are regarding control of the brain, because that's everything. That's everything to human beings. Our concept of God, the creator of all things, our position as the I guess most abstract, intellectually gifted by God beings on planet Earth. It's all about mind and the mind control and controlling the individual's thoughts, to go, yeah, that's a good idea. I will give up all my rights and give you all my money and be enslaved and give up all my freedom and pay for the whole thing and slave away to pay. That's what they got to do to get folks to go along with this. Who wishes to go along with any of this stuff? I mean, it's crazy and absurd. It's absolutely bonkers. Yeah, Woodstock was a great example of a CIA operation. Yeah, of course it was, and all the performers are connected to military intelligence around the world. It's well documented. You know, it's so well documented that we won't even we will. Okay, Laurel Canyon conspiracy. Look that up. I mean, it's over the top. Jim Morrison, you know, his father was behind, or one of the main actors, Admiral Morrison, behind the Gulf of Tonkin incident, and then all of a sudden, up pops Jim Morrison, who all of a sudden kind of degrades the counterculture movement with occult symbolism that the population doesn't even comprehend. And you know, what's come of that? I don't know. I mean, mind control operation. The father fooled the nation into war, or helped fool the nation into war, and the son degrades the nation. So there we have it. Yeah, Beatlemania, meaning the medieval. Let's start over. And one has only to think of Beatlemania. We talked about the scarab beetle symbolism of the brain and the mind, the hypothalamus. That's the frontal lobe, which makes us think about abstract things. To grasp the meaning of the medieval expression referring to tarantism, dash diabolus in musica, Latin for the devil in music, and to understand the proposal of Kung Fu Sei Confucius, 551 to 478, that's BC, and Plato, 427 to 347, that musicians should be placed under state control. But listen again to our high magus. Timotheus filled King Alexander with fury at will and then calmed him down. All right, folks. In chapter what is that? XLVI. So what is that for folks that know Roman numerals better than I? Is that X is 10L? I don't know. Anyway, if somebody can help me out, XLVI. That's another thing. Computers, you just look it up and see what it is. I shall do that. In chapter XLVI of Book 3, Agrippa repeats this example, adding another that also shows the power of music over the human soul. Timotheus is said to have filled Alexander the Great with fury by his playing, and according to testimony of Aurelius Augustinus, a priest of Calam, used to put himself at will into a state of trance and rapture by means of plaintive melody. We read again the same priest in Book 3. He was laid out without breathing like a corpse. Yeah, this is where they can bring people in and out of consciousness. Felt nothing when burnt or cut. They have beaten me. I felt it not. In other words, he placed himself in a state of catalepsy, by like a catatonic state. Catalepsy. Let's see. By statuvolence, and was called restitutus. And that's St. Augustine. De civitate D dash XIV dash 23. Our author, a Faust-like figure of the late Renaissance, used fasting in conjunction with fumigations and melodies which created by dropping lead balls on a stringed instrument, and raised himself by these means into a mental plane, and even had fleeting visions of the divine plan, although latter were not perfectly clear. According to Baron von Kleberg, born in 1930, a high-ranking Freemason and a Martinist with lodge named Isaacus, in unpublished diary and notes, Rosicruciana number 504-23. All right. Compare with the above how the prophet Elijah asked before he started to prophesy for a minstrel to play for him. That's 2 Kings 3:15. And Dr. Fritz Telcher of Innsbruck, died 1949, investigator of the subtle force fluids, caught a glimpse of the essential crystals of human beings when he played his accordion. All right, so yeah, we cover all that. Matthew Collins says, I did a project when I was young about how music changes heart rates. Okay, and like heart rates and blood flow that improves or deteriorates all functionings of all human bodies. You know, the proper heart rate, that's one of the most important things. I mean, I guess maybe it's the most important thing at a certain level. Hey, thanks, Cliff. Yeah, XLVI is 46. Yeah, okay, so thanks, man. Thanks, Cliff.
Remember the Pied Piper? I mean, we've all heard the story of the Pied Piper, but not many people, I don't think, looked into it. That's another. That's another story of music mind control, luring the village children away.
Yeah, sure. I mean, who doesn't like music? I mean, that's a thing. Obviously, like, I mean, a lot of this, CIA, I mean, mind control stuff. I mean, I can say that myself and almost everybody else I knew grew up listening to it. I mean, it's so sinister that even, like, what folks would call like Christian music, that stuff is like, that's the most, sinister and mind control, because these folks, they make so much money, they don't care about anything else. They're not good at making moral decisions that are good for humanity. They're only good at figuring out who are the easiest individuals to dupe and then take all their money. They'll even put the money in the hands of the easiest individuals to dupe in order to have them most easily go along with their plan. I mean, because you know this is what, when factions form, and then one goes like, oh, this group is against that group. No, they all have to go. They all have to be in on it together at a certain level. At a certain level, the Republicans and Democrats, they have to be in on it together, or else there would be like real problems in the world. At a certain, I mean, not that there aren't, but basically there would be real problems in their world. They would have to fight for their lives, and they would have to engage in real warfare against their alleged enemy. The Republicans and Democrats, they're not real enemies. They make folks on a lower level, most of these individuals living on a simulation level, like certain of my family members are militant Democrats, and they're clueless about the most important pieces of knowledge when comprehending how the world works, as far as um, the lies, the manipulation, etc. And then there are certain individuals that are the same way as far as Republicans go. So, and I see your post, Carol Pinner. I'll give out the number again. We don't see a caller. David, are you seeing a caller on your on screen as far as the Blog Talk Studio? Yeah, I don't see a caller. The call-in number is 646-668-2151. So yeah, if your dad's attempting to call in, give him that number and we'll take the call.
I'll tell you, that is one of the most disheartening things is that, I mean, I've been seeing so many of my family members lately. They're so militantly Democrat. I mean, not that I want them to be militantly Republican, but it's just this would not work if Democrats and the Republicans were really as hostile to each other as they want you to believe. Like they would not be able to pull it off successfully. We say it time and time again. They on television they're so hostily militant to each other, but yet at the end of the day they all agree that the people are the enemy and they're just going to keep working together.
Right. They're all going along with this coronavirus on a certain level. And then they're acting like, they're doing this again. I mean, gets into this supersonic thing where they go like, oh, it's a dog whistle. Oh, well, he's just, Trump's just, he really doesn't believe the coronavirus is real. And that's why he doesn't wear a mask anywhere. And it's like, well, he's the president. He can say, hey, it's unconstitutional to wear a mask. And the federal government is going to put out an order and say, hey, no mask. An executive order, no masks. All these like torture, all these unconstitutional executive orders going back before the Bush administration, they were going through with no problem. All these executive orders, rewriting 2,000 years of English common law, at least probably more like 5,000, whatever, thousands of years of common law, just through executive order saying, hey, this common law doesn't apply in this common law nation of that we call the United States of America. And what I say is, man, whatever, I rebuke all that stuff. I don't need to explain how I got here. I don't need to explain that I'm never a citizen or subject of, or a person. I'm never a person, and I'm never citizen or subject to the jurisdiction of the United States government. I supersede that. That's a crazy idea. If folks think that they're subject to this insanity, if you say that you're subject to the government, you're just saying, hey, I'm subject to all these absurd lies that they're telling us. All of these actions, these bipartisan actions, they fly in the face of what is real. What's real? They say, oh, hey, this is the latest one that's really twisting everybody in knots. If they can lie about this stuff now, imagine what history is. It's like history is like everything else, a gathering of sources and citations, things that are verifiable and provable. So that's what history is. So I mean, when folks are saying these things like, oh, it's all lies, there were these giants and blah blah blah, maybe there were, but then like if you're discovering this material and the history is all a lie, then maybe the material you're discovering about the flat earth or the giants or the mud mansions or whatever else, maybe that's a lie too. Or maybe it's more easily explained in a way that you're not explaining it by just saying, hey, this is what this guy says. This is who this guy was. I mean, it's like when we had that guy Taylor Summers on, and we start talking about bloodlines and the divine right of kings, and that he said, oh well, that really didn't start coming around until the Jacobite period. He likes to use these technical terms to make himself sound like an expert. And I've been told many times, you're always right about all these different things, but you don't sound like you know what you're talking about. It's like, okay. So again, he starts saying, well, there was a counter narrative to the divine right of kings going back, and it was de Braxton. Bracton. And of course, I said, no, that's not true. This goes back, and it was verified in the era of the Plantagenet kings of England, the divine right, in English common law. He says, no, that's not right. So, of course, it was Bracton who wrote on the divine right of kings during the Plantagenet era. But in any event, somebody may sound like they know what they're talking about. And that's what everybody is impressed with right now. One who sounds like they know what they're talking about, uses big words, makes bold statements. And what I'm saying is like, hey, you folks can believe what I wish, what I wish to broadcast to the public, or one can choose to disregard it. It doesn't matter. I'm saying this is what's going on. This is it. Synagogue of Satan, simulated reality, coronavirus, Black Lives Matter, Agenda 21. It's all the same thing. And we get into these codes, like everything is coded. So everything that we're communicating with is a code that starts 0101. Positive, negative, negative, positive, negative, positive. So 0101. That's what starts everything. Female, male, female, male. That's the code. And the binary, that's 5. That's the incarnation of 5. Like we have 5 fingers. So let's see, because I want to get this 555 code in and go back and say, like, all these codes, these 555 codes, they're on my the Dorsey/Darcy coat of arms, and some Darcys and Dorseys are the same. It seems some are not, but most Darcys and Dorseys are both Darcys and Dorseys, and they're both Irish families. One being Norman Irish and one being ancient Irish. I have the blood of both, and on both sides of my family, I'm related to Dorseys and Darcys. But in any event, there's a 555 code. There's 3 5-petaled flowers on the Dorsey coat of arms, which has a bull on top, which represents the ancient tribes of Israel, and the slogan, or the motto, I should say, Unde un roi, one God, one king. Um, yeah, song goes, if you are 555, then I am 666. Yeah, there's a Slipknot song that says, if you are 555, then I am 666. Um, there's a lot of coding in Geoffrey of Monmouth's history of the kings of England with the 555 coding and the 666 coding, especially when describing the number of troops that are being utilized in different battalions of armies. Okay, so this is coming from Gerwain and the Green Knight, and this is the 555 code because the pentangle, which used to be a positive symbol, this is where it comes from in Gerwain and the Green Knight. So that's chivalric Christian motif of that. The pentangle represents the 5 wounds of Christ, the 5 virtues of the knight, the 5 fingers of the hand given by God to do good deeds. 555. That's the real and simulation code. So I call it the simulation code because they're using it to simulate. Uh, um, I shall get into a Facebook commercial since we're broadcasting on Facebook. So um, we'll bring a microscope to their operations now. They use the Beatles song from the movie Yellow Submarine, all together now to show that individuals are together, but they're only together on Facebook. So again, this is more Orwellian doublespeak, along with the Beatles' mind control communist agenda. I had a individual who worked with me at the store that my LLC owned on West Main Street in Richmond, Virginia. And there was a copy of on VHS, and we had such old technology. This was maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And she used to listen to a VHS copy of the Beatles cartoon movie, Yellow Submarine. And so, growing up, we've all heard the Beatles and all this other stuff. So when she would play this over and over again, it started getting to, I'm like, wow, all of this is pure communist propaganda. And now they're combining, well, I mean, Orwell was a socialist, or Eric Blair was a socialist. It's combining this music mind control with Orwellian propaganda and communist propaganda. Like, we're together in a way that I'm together with Rachel Maddow in the background, you and I, so we're together on a certain level, but on the most important level of relating between humans, we're not together. We're apart in distance. We're apart in distance. So that when they say, let's be alone together, and you go like, oh, okay, and then say, all together now, and put a little all that music mind control. That's a happy song. All together now. Just like when we started this long conversation, we were talking about the fact that they've put a moratorium on kicking people out of their houses in Virginia, and now there's a pile of stuff, and we have the second highest rate in the country for evictions here in the Richmond, Virginia metro area. and so they're getting ready to do that now, and so the quote unquote liberal politicians that have to operate in these liberal areas, allegedly they have to operate in these poor areas financially. They say, oh, okay, well, here, there's this $6 million slush fund for, and we'll transfer this money to help these guys. And they're like, okay, well, yeah, it's not going to help any of these like folks that are already facing eviction at the end of next week. Oh, okay, well, all right. Now we have this 600 million figure, or 60 million figure that we're going to throw at the problem now. Oh, okay. So these folks get to stay in their house. I'm not saying they're living the life of luxury. I'm just saying they don't have to pay to live somewhere, and our money that we pay through like sales taxes, that goes to pay for these other guys. So we have to pay for our place to reside, and then we have to pay for other folks, and they don't have to pay. Well, if they don't have to pay, why should I pay? And if I don't have to pay, why should anyone pay? So that's where we're at as far as reality. That's where we're at, and they're just stealing this money. And while that's going on, where is the outrage? 160 years ago? That's where the outrage is? And I mean, I hear complete lies, in the media. Oh, well, you know what? These weren't monuments to living veterans. They were 20th century. That's some guy from the Washington Post on MSNBC. I don't remember the guy's name, but he's on there all the time. So it's not true. Okay, so like, when do they make monuments? Usually like a generation after the war is when they'll make a monument to the war. That's what I would say. That's about the right time. And that's what they were doing. Like the late 1880s and 1890s, that's when they were putting up a lot of these Confederate statues. Because a lot of the men that were in their teens and 20s are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s at that point. So there's a lot of them around. So it's just, more one lie after another. But in any event, it's just a simulation of what's real. So they do this simulated war as well. Because God, the creator of all things, made man warlike. So that's what manifests itself in human beings. So it's going to be a psychological war. It's going to be a biological war. It's going to be an actual war on the streets, like with an occupying army that's the police. How many years? I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a dozen, more than a dozen, since I started going out and doing broadcast and calling the police an occupying army. And I can tell you, it is so funny that a lot of the individuals that are now calling for the defunding of the police, they used to say I was crazy. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. You're just a right winger. You're just militia. And I was a member of the Democratic Party at that time. Somehow I was a right winger. But in any event, the Republican and Democratic Party are both criminal. That obviously goes without saying. But sometimes the most obvious things that go without saying, folks will pretend is not so obvious. So in any event,
And haven't we said over and over again? I made a post yesterday session again, and I know I've repeated this.
Just go ahead.
School's in session again. They're going to start back with the false flag school shootings, and those same controlled government groups that are marching for defund the police will change their tune to the police are the only ones allowed to have guns and call for stricter gun control, disarming the population.
Right.
Mark our words. We predict this, and it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's never changed. It's the same thing. Yeah, that the same ones that are calling for defunding the police, that and again, it's not that they're stupid, it's not that they'll just say anything. And it's extremely effective because it puts out this confusing method, this confusing message to the public. So, that's what happens. And the importance of 555, the binary code for 5 is 0101. So that's why the 555 number and 5, especially the triplicate, because we've told you over and over again, if you go like this is beyond Masonic. This would be Masonic, I guess, going back to old York constitutions, and then other ethnic groups somehow getting this sacred knowledge and subverting it and perverting it. So we're talking, if one wishes to call me a Mason, I'm only a Mason as far as my position over Masonry. And my position in Masonry would be only as an unwilling member by blood through an occasional lodge. And that my position would be that of believing in Masonry at its formation through the old York constitutions, and that anything going forward after that point is just a perversion of something that is knowledge that was passed into too many hands. And now I'm passing it out to the public because it doesn't really matter at this point. This is not the point at which to occult knowledge. And that occult just means the cover. Esoteric is this is all occult and esoteric knowledge. It's just what it is. I didn't make, what does, it's the binary digit for 5 mean? I mean, I got a basic idea, but like all I need to know is that is it. That's the fact. I didn't make up the fact that we call 1 1 and 0 0, and that 1 is shaped like a ovum and 1 is shaped like a phallus. I didn't make that up. I didn't make up that when you press on your computer, it's a phallus inside of an ovum. I didn't make up that that's the on button. I didn't make up the fact that the stars, in the heavens, they affect how life on planet Earth functions. I didn't do that. And I'll tell you that's coming from the most basic facts of the sun is out during the day and the moon is out during the night. I didn't make that fact up. When the sun is up, what do you got to do? Make hay. So there you go. I didn't make that fact up. I didn't do it. I'm just telling you that's how everything works. And in a simple fashion, what these codes are, and they're all number codes. How these tones manipulate one's brains into mind control. So we covered the All Together Now Yellow Submarine Facebook thing where they're saying everybody's together. when they're using Facebook hundreds of miles apart, dozens of miles apart, next door to one another, across the world from one another, all together apart. Let's be alone together. It's okay not to be okay, because folks are like, ah, oh, man, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance. They're telling me it's okay not to be okay. They're telling us let's be alone together. I mean, it's like from a bad, Seinfeld episode. Let's be alone together. Let's be together, but let's do it alone. Oh, okay. And that would be some sort of hijinks would be triplicated out of that scenario, because that's what's going on. That's the other thing with the simulation. That when you go like, hey, I'm tired. This looks like a docudrama, reality TV show. Yeah, that's because it's what it is. They can simulate any sort of scenario that they can put in a movie. They're now simulating and telling you it's real life, because they got tired of the thing where it's like, oh yeah, well, where's the video of that? Oh, you see, here's the video. Oh, that looks real fake. Oh, okay, that's because we made it look real fake. So it was real easy for you to figure out. But we'll still keep telling everybody it's real, and we'll show you, and we'll rub it in your face and say, hey, we'll put the video out there. Obviously it's fake. Obviously it's staged. And we'll just keep telling everybody it's real. And more persons will believe our lie than will believe their own eyes. That's how it goes. So I really don't know what else to say about any facts of matter. We're just telling you what's going on. I mean, if you wish to believe something else, hey, that's fine. So, Synagogue of Satan, that's who has hijacked this material. That's who's using it, and that's what we always say. Hey, you got a choice. If you think, oh, we need Black Lives Matter, we need to get rid of all the white men, and we need to install in positions of power black and men and women, and anybody else but white people. And I'll tell you over and over again, the folks that are calling the shots that say that they're white, they are of the Synagogue of Satan bloodline, which is a European bloodline. They're not as ruddy. They have a bulbous hooked nose. They have, in a lot of cases, curly hair, but not always. I'm just telling you that the physiological difference that Jesuits. Hey, good one, Carol Pinner. Jesuits. They created the Jesuit order. They were called conversos. Those inside the Iberian Peninsula that converted to Catholicism from Judaism. They were the court Jews in the Iberian Caliphate, and they were the court Jews of the Aragonian kingdoms and the other Christian Spanish kingdoms. But during the 14th century, and let me tell you, how they love to hide themselves. So like, don't think that they weren't behind the freaking the Inquisition either, because they were behind that. And so then they can hide themselves even further, because they realize what they're deceptive, and the lies they tell to the public, it's meaningless. It's just, they will lie bold-faced to the public and go like, hey, it doesn't matter what I say to the public. I'm still, I know what blood is inside of me. I know I worship Satan himself. I know I'm the, that these conversos knew that they were the quote unquote Christ killers in the literal and symbolic sense. And it might not be literal the way you think I believe that it means literal, but they are the Christ killers in the literal and figurative manner. So we know everything in this world has a triune meaning. In this realm, everything has a triune meaning. So when we connect the number 0101 to the number 3, I'm using the binary code for 5. Then it's anything goes. Anything goes, and that is the ultimate mind control code. 0101 in triplicate form, in the triune fashion, as the educated modern Mason would say. One who knows. I mean, and I would say, what percentage of Masons know this stuff? 1%, less than 1% of Masons know. Initiated Masons, just regular old, Masons, not of an occasional lodge, not of the bloodline of the the old York Constitution of 926? Let me double check. Let's see, old York Constitution. We go over this stuff so much, you'd think I would be more exact in my memory. 926, yeah. Okay. So, in any event, yeah, they will get a nose job, change their name, dye their hair blonde. That's a big one that they like to do. Yep. Yeah, so they've been doing that for centuries now. And again, again, this stuff is going on all over from like the beginning of time, and they originated from somewhere. They did. And the female line, which is what they say is where quote unquote Judaism comes from the mother. So if the father is a we use their terminology, non-Ashkenazi, or non-Sephardi, then and the mother was, the child would be as well. But we know that there is absolutely zero Levantine blood in the female line of the quote unquote Jew. They are mostly of Southern European lineage when talking about genetics, DNA genetics, the science. And I'll tell you, when I look into DNA and science, it's a pretty good match with my documented genealogy. It's exact. It's pretty spot on. So we can find this. And so that where does the male line come from? And so they've been trying to hide and obfuscate this Khazarian connection. But it turns out that there's a smoking gun and it's done through the Q haplogroup. That they say the Q haplogroup is the smoking gun for a Khazarian line being among the founding lines of the male, quote unquote, Ashkenazi bloodline. It's well documented. It's a peer-reviewed study. No one's arguing it. So then some were going, yes, it was a founding line, but it was only 5% still share this genetics. But it turns out that it's 12%. That's the same DNA you share with your first cousin. And so we know that all of the Ashkenazi and Sephardim are fourth or fifth cousins. At the least, they're fourth cousins, and at the most, they're fifth cousins, unless they're more closely related to that. But that they are all between fourth and fifth cousins. So combine that with, hey, if you're like, if you didn't know, you share about 12% DNA with your first cousin. If you have a first cousin, and if you have second cousins, it's less than that, but you're still very closely related to them. So 12% of Jewish DNA comes from this Khazarian thing, and there's a lot of art. I mean, we've been through this. If we've talked about this once, we've talked about it 24 times on the broadcast. You can find all this stuff out. We're just reiterating point after point. Who's doing what the bottom line is. The bottom line is you got to pick a side. Whoever you are out there, you're not going to run things. The only ones with capabilities of running the world are the bad Synagogue of Satan that you have now, or the opposite of that, which is the royal bloodline of the native European, the descendants of the Israelites, which is a little bit of a misnomer because all of the civilization didn't come from the Levantine region to Europe. It was the other way around, west to east, not east to west. Basically, it was Ireland. And that is the cradle of civilization, and then going outward, west, east, north, south from there, and then back and forth. So, as we always say, I'm not the expert on all of this, but hey, there's volumes. Michael Tazarian has written on that. Volumes Connor McDarry has written on all of that. Volumes that Jeffrey of Monmouth has written on all of that. It's redundancy. This Bible is about what I'm talking about. That is it. So you can keep being ignorant. You can misconstrue what I'm talking about. One can do any kind of self-deceptive tactic that they wish, but it doesn't change the facts. The facts don't change. And so we know Mishlings with the Khazarian fathers typically express the physical phenotypes more in my experience. Hey, I believe that might be the case. Because, okay, so let's tell you why the Khazarian thing is more relevant. And why it makes sense not to, that they go around, because the female as a whole is more likely to stay in their home tribal area. And so the men are more likely to explore and then be the first to spread their seeds in a different gene pool. It's just the facts. And so that's why we have, Mishlings. That's why we have miscegenation of the race. I'm not saying that it's a good or bad thing. I have my own opinion on that. One can extrapolate from what I'm saying, I'm talking about facts rather than how I feel about that. I do have different feelings about facts, but that does not warp my sense of reality into not being able to comprehend what facts are. So when different groups of human beings come around each other, the easier it is for them to procreate. And that's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just what happens. And so that's how and I'll tell you how it is kind of a good thing in the instance of the people of God, in the instance of the American quote unquote experiment. So when different nationalities get together, and it's usually the male going out and conquering. For example, during the Vietnam War, there were a lot of half African American, half European American, half whatever American ethnic group, and half Vietnamese children. Same with during the occupation of Japan. It is, and why was this through the male? Because they were out and they were a occupying army. Women are, especially in the past, less likely to go out unaccompanied and in large numbers to areas to occupy them militarily. So I'm not when groups of individuals are together, it is generally the male who initiates and whenever they're together, I guess different groups of individuals, they begin to procreate. That's why 25 to 35% of the average African American's DNA is European. And that's why you see whatever you see manifesting itself today. It's just a fact. One can have feelings one way or another about it, but it's a fact. It's a fact. So, knowing that fact and seeing how a genocide can take place, and the genocide now is being carried out, against the founding stock of the United States. And the founding stock is not really homogenous very much. And I shall tell you how. So in the area that I'm from, I would say a homogenous individual in that my ancestry comes from in a large quantity from these different ethnic groups, or at least nationalities. English, Irish, Welsh, Scottish, and almost equal parts German, Swiss, French, and through other parts Spanish, Danish, Norwegian, Slavic, etc. Hungarian, Romanian, in very, very marginal qualities. And that these things can be micro targeted. You can say, hey, okay, my blood says I'm 0.11% Iberian. Oh, well, that makes sense. If I go back many generations and go down a certain line, all of these individuals are Iberian. but they are a fraction, 1/99th of my DNA. But I can go hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years back and see, well, these individuals seem almost exclusively Iberian. Oh, except for they were married to this French person. Oh, and this French person was actually from, half German. In any event, it can be exact. But what I'm saying is that there's a choice. You have a choice of the founding stock, or you have a choice of what you have today. Brought to you by this. This is their calling card. This reality of masks, nonstop slavery, usury. All once freedom's gone. I mean, a government run by anyone other than these Synagogue of Satan cretins, they're not going to take away every one of your freedoms, because there'll be all-out war before that. Because what's the sense? But they got everybody mind control to be like, well, you know what's coming next? The vaccine. They already told us. But you see, a lot of folks, they're doing the right thing. I like I said, I went to the corner store, and I saw two people walk into the store with masks, and two people walk into the store without masks. Two women walked in with masks. Two men walked in without masks. So again, women by nature, they're more compliant. And so that's why they wish to, not saying overly compliant. I'm just saying men and women are different. And I prefer a measured approach using my male and female brain to make decisions. I'm just saying that they have perverted the nature of man in a certain way, and perverted the nature of female in a certain way. Male and female has been perverted. But women are more likely to be compliant and to cause problems with their men if they're not compliant. That's something that I see every day. Every single day. And in most cases, it's good. Well, I should say this. It's only good when the woman when the female in the scenario is smarter than the male in the scenario, which I would say, happens 50-50. I don't think men are any smarter than women, or I don't think a male is any smarter than a female. I think it's different. I've never met, a female that's smarter than me, or a male smarter than me, or more informed, I should say. Smarter is just not an exact term. More informed as I am in regard to the big picture of what's going on, and additionally the simple solution. But I don't know. I mean, women are influential. I'm saying that they're attempting to make females more influential, when I don't think that ought to be the case. Women and men have a place. Male and female have a place, and it has been perverted. And most men, they're bred and created to wage war on behalf of their tribe. That's been the name of the game up until probably, I don't know, I guess mostly this past century. But otherwise, that Cliff is an expert on this. I'm hoping that, I don't know whether Cliff was having phone issues we're having some phone issues in some cases, but in any event, yeah, I would love to hear Clifford's thoughts on this matter. But yeah, in any event, that's what men are bred for. And that's why when we look at what their family is represented by, and that's the permission to bear arms, their heraldry. That's their symbol. There's a lot of symbolism. I mean, I've got lots of books here on heraldry. All sorts of different aspects of heraldry, a heraldry dictionary, what they mean. A lot of folks are into that now. I certainly have always been into it. I'm really fascinated by it because it's so important, and folks really don't really get much of any of it. They just go, "Oh, it looks cool," which it does. It looks really cool. However, it's more symbolic, it's more powerful than that. And they're granted their right to bear arms. They have symbols of God. They have symbols of the ancient Israelites. They have the symbols of the people of the Bible, and they're all over the heraldry. So, masculine energy initiates, feminine energy is submissive. That's right. So, we're talking about heraldry, the symbols of the ancient Israelite people, and how that's basically the only thing that there is to do with heraldry. And that is the right to bear arms. And that is granted by who? Well, the royal bloodline of Europe, which is the same as the ancient Egyptian bloodline, and it's the same as the quote unquote Israelite bloodline of the Bible, the people of God, according to the Bible. According to the Bible. Again, folks can make arguments one way or the other about this, that, or the other thing, but just in discussing, these folks going like, "Hey, let's tear down statues of Jesus because Jesus wasn't white." I mean, so we can have a discussion on the word Jesus, the historical figure Jesus, written outside of the Bible, Jesus written about inside of the Bible, Josephus Flavius, all that other stuff. But everything shows, including the genetics, because it's so funny. These idiots, they'll make an argument and say, "Hey, if Jesus was white, why did he go to Egypt to hide?" Okay, all right. These guys don't realize that. Hey, look at different populations today. There'll be an invasion, and then a totally different population takes over, or there'll be an exodus, and a total different population takes over. For example, white Western Europeans used to be, 80% of the population. White, quote unquote, white people used to be 85% of the population. Now we're 60% of the population. So, when they go like, "Oh, okay." So then you go, "Yeah, well, Jesus, went to Egypt to hide. He was of the Pharaonic bloodline. Yeah. He was one of those, Scythians. Yeah. All that. Yeah. Okay. Egyptians of the Levant region from that time period, or around that time period, the biblical time period. He's of these lines. He's of the Davidic line. He's of the line of Jesse. He's of the line of Adam, of course. And they are all described as ruddy. fair, light hair, light skin, ruddy red. Okay, that's it. There's dozens and dozens of of scripture of passages in scripture writing about that. So if the pharaonic line shares the same DNA as 80% of Irish people, 80% of Scottish people, 70% of British people, and 50% of Western Europeans as a whole, if they share the same DNA, and they're making the Egyptian argument that that Egyptian was full of brown people or black people, it doesn't hold any water. Um, mm, yeah, I don't know. Uh, no, I don't. I really don't think so. Okay, so what we're talking about is facts about, positive, negative, the you know it's just in the nature of men and women to be different. That's why they're training women to be like men and men to be like women. So it's as simple as that. That's what we're discussing here. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Pharaonic. Yeah, I mean, all I don't know. I'm not buying that Mossad agent who does the Pharaoh show. I don't buy that. Um, Swiss are similar to other Southern Germans, other French folks, genetically, even Italians genetically. You know, Kelto Italic. I don't know. I mean, we can get specific, but I don't know. I mean, the Germans do have R1B, but the English, but especially the Irish, and then the Scottish, then the English, they have a much higher percentage of similar DNA to at least the DNA that they tested with Tutankhamun. So, I mean, under that premise, I would say, you know, that the Irish are the most pharaonic, quote unquote. The Swiss, I mean, there's a lot of connections between the ancient Irish and the ancient Germans and Swiss. It was the Irish monks, warrior king monks, that warrior monks, I guess I would say, um, that spread Christianity to France and Germany, and I guess the Irish slash Scottish monks of like Siena, like Saint Columba, and yeah, they were operating in Germany as well. Um, and their form of Christianity, it went back many, 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 many generations, many hundreds of years, and it wasn't created by the Roman Empire. It was just a documentation of a certain bloodline. And if folks say that's not important, or they try to take a piece of scripture and say, well, it's not good, it doesn't matter, you know what, then why did they start all these chapters with who begot who in the Bible? That's the first thing that they say in a number of different sections in the Bible, talking about who begat who begat who. and where the line comes from. If that wasn't important, and if this, let's see, the POC are the ancient Egyptians, doesn't hold water. You look at the evidence instead of listening to disinformation, misinformation. I don't know what, like, I don't know. Tell me more about what your thought is, and like what's the POC? That's from Cliff. So in any event, hopefully we'll get more clarification from Cliff. In any event, these are just facts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if folks like them, if they don't like them. I mean, here we go. Let's see. Okay, the biblical, there's a biblical prophecy that they will that the people of God will be named for Isaac, you know, and that's where you get the Sax son of Isaac, son of Isaac's son, the Saxon, Anglo-Saxon. Israelites were the Hyksos pharaohs of Egypt, according to Josephus Flavius. Let's see. John the Baptist wore a leopard skin, the symbol of Egyptian royalty. Not gypsies. You see, gypsies again. That they have DNA that is similar to the Ashkenazi. They have a completely different genetic DNA. Like if we're going to talk about like Eastern European gypsies, if we're going to talk about the ethnic group called the gypsies. Cliff, are you called in? Yeah, we got 8 minutes left. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying to refresh the page to see if Cliff's on there. And Cliff, if you can't call Blog Talk, but you need to call my phone, I believe I can probably answer. Oh, right. Okay, the people of color are the ancient Egyptians. Doesn't hold water when you look at evidence instead of listening to disinformation, misinformation. Yeah. Again, I mean, you know, it's one of those things. It's like why if in fact other individuals were the Israelites of the Bible, why did no one else but the Europeans spread that around the world? I mean, why is that their religion? Basically, at a certain time in history, Christian was synonymous with particular kinds of quote unquote white people. Yeah, absolutely. In 2011, the genomics company IGENEA it was a Tutankhamun DNA project. The microsatellite dot display Tutankhamun belongs to the haplogroup R1b1a2, the most common clade among men from Western Europe. Okay. So Jesus was educated in Alexandria and descended from a pharaonic line. Out of Egypt I called my son, Matthew 2:15. Queen Tia, red hair, auburn hair, and that's Queen Tia Tephi. Nefertiti had red auburn hair. Ramses II, ginger. what was that? Eucoderma, his report in. Let's see. Examined by. I can't even read my own handwriting. But in any event. Oh, you were listening on Blog Talk. Yeah, we're going to keep it going. Um, da, 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 da. David and Solomon, described as ruddy, showing blood in the face. David and Solomon are on the same genealogy as Jesus. There we go. I mean, it goes on and on. It goes on and on. I got see, now you can see why I can't read my own handwriting. But I'll get a better idea of what's going on next time when I'm gonna speak on the subject. Oh, okay, Cliff. Thank you. Okay, Cleopatra was descended from Ptolemy, claimed to be son of Philip, father of Alexander the Great. Plutarch on Alexander the Great. He was of fair color. His fairness passed into ruddiness in the face. The gods and royalty of ancient Greece had golden hair. Cleopatra was depicted as ginger in frescoes. Let's see. What synagogue is that? 6th century synagogue. In frescoes and synagogues at 4th century depicts Jesus with blonde hair. So there we go. Hey, can somebody check out who William Mundey is? Okay. Right. Hey, Greek people were different phenotypes back during ancient times. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. I would say yeah, female energy is I would say less aggressive, less warlike, more conciliatory. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's different. And yeah, I mean, I would and I would say, hey, I have a lot of admiration for. Uh, I mean, we mention them all the time. The women in history, Mary Stuart, Queen of Scotland, Elizabeth the First, her cousin, um, great leaders. Um, Boudica, great leaders. Modern times, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen. There's not any great male leaders during modern times, and there's not really any great female leaders that are historical to the point, to where we can point to them, um, and say that.
90 seconds.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, it is true, Bill. Like, folks in the military are guilty of treason, but again, at this point, we require to take over the military apparatus. So we are going to require individuals inside the military to to comply with our orders. So now they take orders from individuals who have absolutely no authority. They're slaves to the Khazarian mob. They're traitors to their own nation in every way. And now they'll have the opportunity to not do that because we require all these weapons that are used against us. They're ours, and we wish to use them or not use them against our enemy as God directs us. Again, we are not in control. God is in control, of course. We all know that, and we're discussing the topic of the people of God. So that's what we're discussing: who they are, what the purpose is, and when we talk about mixing of ethnic groups in the United States, that was a good thing. And we, in certain areas, are mixes of, I would say, the founding stock of the United States as a whole, leading up to the time where there was an overt effort to attack us, and that's the founding stock of the United States of America. We are, by and large, I guess, to start in descending order, as far as most to least, that about 16% of the population was of mostly German descent. And when we say mostly, a lot of this is mixed, and that's why we get these percentages. Then about 14 to 15% Irish, then about 12% English, about 9 or 10% Scottish. So that's what makes up, when you start adding the top ethnic groups, that's what is inside of each individual. So we have the original source for the people of God. It all goes back to Ireland. And then we have all of the attributes of the Germans and the English and the Scottish. Then less so I would say the next thing would be going back to the 19th century. Then probably Scandinavian. Then maybe a little bit of Iberian. So when we're talking about German, basically you can go, well, German and French, they're very closely related, just like Scottish and English and Irish are very closely related. They're the same people. And when you start expanding out and making a larger, accepting a larger gene pool, then the people of Germany are very similar to the people of England and Ireland and Scotland as far as genetic markers, ancestry, genealogy, going back to ancient times. So that's what we're talking about. Well, Lonnie Beale says, I'm Scott, German, English. That's what almost everyone is. But what we realize is, as genetics go on, there's mutations that comes. So if we say like R1B 1A2, that's, I'm something, my Y DNA is something called R-M222. So all R-M222 are R-L21, but not all R-L21 are M-M22, and all R-M222 and R-L21 are R1. Let's get the exact. R1. Where did I put that one? All of those, all R-L21 and all R-M222 are R1B 1A2. It's just basically like saying all English are British, but not all British are English, because you'll have Welsh, Scot, Cornish, etc. But they're all British. So in any event, we're talking about the people of God, the Israelites of the Bible, are the modern day Western Europeans. That's what we're talking about exactly. The so-called people of God, according to the Bible. Now, other folks can say they're people of God according to other things or whatever. They, you know, but the Bible, the people of God that they're talking about in the Bible, the Israelites that they're talking about in the Bible, yeah, Irish, Scottish, English aren't Nordic. Yeah, Nordic. The way they describe that in DNA testing, I would say is Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian, I would say, are the main. And I think maybe they might include Finn, but I don't know if, they would consider that, Proto-Slavic. And I'm sure there are some parts of Finland that are more Slavic than Nordic. But yeah, that's Nordic is not what they would say is German, Scottish, Irish, not Nordic. Nordic is Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, and possibly Finn. But I don't know. Like I haven't really looked into that as much. But hey, that's great pointing out that the uh, troll on here is not even he's like way out of his depth as far as discussing things. Just like when that guy Taylor Summers thought he could discuss medieval English jurisprudence with me and be 100% wrong, and that I wouldn't catch it. Again, many folks say you don't sound like you know what you're talking about, but everything I'm saying is factual because I'm not the one that comes up with the facts. We can just discuss how things are measured and then we can go from there. What are the meaning of words and how to move on. What is the matter of fact in an occurrence? That's it. Because I mean, we've already established clearly recruiting. Hey chump, you don't come in the middle of something you don't understand and just be belligerent with everything. This guy says K, but good luck recruiting people to whatever this is with passive aggression like that, homie. I'm just trying to understand the agenda here. You have lower standing uh through your intellect, and I presume through your genetics, so you understand everything that we say. We have standing over you. So like your opinion is meaningless. And like whatever you're saying that we're doing, that's what you're doing. So when you're using the term passive aggressive, that's exactly what you're doing. Everything that you've done has been passive aggressive. And you really haven't done anything except for exactly what we talked about, and that's simulate a representation of yourself. So I'm presenting myself and my personal thoughts. As we said before, one can accept them, not accept them, they're facts. What I'm saying is fact. What I'm saying is repeating what smarter folks than myself have verified. You're doing nothing but stating your opinion. You're doing nothing but stating your opinion. Here, let's see. So, you think Nordic Europeans are gods. So, you were corrected. It said, less so Scandinavians. God's people. Less so Scandinavians. But yes, Scandinavians as well. But yes, less so. But generally speaking, yes. So yes, generally speaking, yes. And then Chad Martin again corrects you. Irish, Scottish, English aren't Nordic. Yeah, and he's used Nordic Europeans. Okay. And then he says, okay, but good luck recruiting people for whatever this is. Okay, that's passive aggressive. Okay, there you go. Yeah, no one's yeah, and again, he's saying he's Greek. And that's real funny because we reference the fact that the female Jewish line mostly came from Southern Europe, so we get the Southern European and Greek. I'm Greek things. All the time. I you know. Okay, now he's saying this is William Mundey. Uh, who knows what this guy is really like, or if he's even a male or a female? Who knows? Um, yeah, I just asked. I didn't say anyone's God's people. I didn't put my thoughts into anything yet. Just asked. So you don't, your thoughts aren't in your questions? I mean, come on, dude. Keep it going. Keep it up. This is hilarious to me. I do have to, you know, do some other stuff and make myself dinner. Uh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. He is Cliff. It is funny to see these guys. These guys. It doesn't matter if they make idiots of themselves. It doesn't matter if it just matters that they do their thing, and yeah. Uh, um, you can call in the show. Here, we'll try to bring this chump on camera. Let's see what this chump's doing. So, I'm trying to add this chump, and here I'll see if I can. Uh, I'll post that on in the comment section. Oh, it's connecting. Hey,
Hey,
greetings. Who do you work for?
who do I work for? What do you
Yeah, who do
mean?
you work for? Did I stutter? Who do you work for?
What?
Who do you work for? Do you speak English?
Are you talking about my
No,
occupation?
I'm
Why
talking
are you
about
so
who
interested?
employs you. Who employs you? Who pays you?
My occupation.
Who pays you? Are you confused by simple questions?
No, it's just
Okay, well then
me
answer it.
overly
Answer it.
aggressive.
Answer it. Answer it.
I ain't gotta answer anything
Well, then why are you hiding who pays you?
because I don't have to tell you because I have
You
my rights.
well you
Why
you
do I have to
actually
tell
you
you?
you know my rights come from
Mhm.
God. You have no standing over me, and I see what you're
I
up
didn't
to, and
say
now
I
we're getting your
did.
face on camera. Is William Mundy your real name?
No.
It's not?
Nope,
What's your real name? Why using a fake name and trolling and then showing your face on camera?
bro. Maybe I'm. How you been though?
You
You
know,
good?
if you're showing your face on camera and you won't say your real
hmm
name, why is that? Why are you hiding your identity?
Because I am just
You're
because
not hiding
I
it
am just
well. Okay, so you won't say who employs you. You're on camera. You're using a fake name, and you're
uh-huh.
you're trolling this fairly obscure, I guess, broadcast that is really only uh, trolled by government agents, those who work for the government, and usually they're of a Jewish ethnic group. You look Jewish.
I look Jewish?
Yeah, you do, of course. You don't think you do?
No. I don't have
No.
any Jewish in me.
Well, yeah, you do. You do. Because you said that you're Southern European in look. That's the genetics of the Jews. That's where they mostly come from, Southern Europe.
I'm mostly Greek and Armenian.
Right. Yeah. Same
Yeah.
haplogroup, same DNA. Yeah. Okay, so what's your real name and why are you hiding your identity? What's your real name?
My real name is John Smith, and I am a
Okay.
smith, and I
Yeah.
and I am a gunsmith.
Okay, that's funny. So, and you work for you're military, I assume, presume. You have something to do
Why?
with just the way you operate, your passive aggressive behavior, I can tell
You're the
you
one.
wish
You're the
to
one who came
kill,
loaded with
and
questions, and I'm
you
trying
just
to answer them. I'm
no,
chill.
no,
I'm
no,
not chill.
no,
Oh,
you're
my
not.
bad.
No, you're not.
I apologize for not
No,
being
because
chill.
you do the exact tactic that your people always do, your persons always do, is that
That
whatever
seems
you're
offensive.
doing to someone else, you accuse them of doing. So you are being passive aggressive and you accuse another of being passive aggressive. I'm being aggressive now. I'm interrogating you. I'm interrogating you,
I'm not
and
trying to be aggressive
you
towards
are lower
anybody.
than I am in standing
Oh,
in
that's
every
pretty
sense of the
mean.
word. You're incorrect about things. You're
Was
incorrect.
I
You're not
incorrect?
exact. Right. You're saying you're misrepresenting what's being said, and you're either misleading or you're
I
not
didn't.
educated enough to talk on the subject.
No, it's just you're just being
No,
super
that's
passive aggressive,
that's
and you're
not the
calling me
case.
passive aggressive.
Do you believe that Scottish individuals and English and Irish individuals are Nordic?
I don't know. I thought so.
I mean, maybe like 1 to 2%, maybe 1 to 2% of the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So very small. But that's
So
what
okay.
that's
So
what
I
you
have a
say. Then
question,
when you're
right?
corrected, you say, "Oh, well, basically,
Okay.
yes." So you don't
Okay.
know enough about a subject, but you'll make assertions about it. You're using a fake name. You're trolling. You'll show your face, which isn't very smart if you're really attempting to hide yourself. You're just hiding information from individuals who have less information than I do. So why use a fake name? Why hide who employs you?
Because I don't have to tell you anything.
Well,
But I have a
obviously
question real quick.
you don't. No, but you don't have standing to ask me a question. I won't respond to a question from you because
Why?
because you don't have standing. I question you. I'm interrogating
Standing.
you, and you cannot question me because I say so.
That sounds pretty offensive. Why
Why?
can you
It
like
doesn't
ask me
matter. It
questions
doesn't
that I
matter
can't?
whether you're offended or not. This is. Have you
Well,
ever?
why?
Do you know how a meeting works? Do you know how
Yeah,
parliamentary procedure
yeah.
works?
It's an
Is this
exchange
your
of
show?
information
Is this
to
your
people.
meeting? Is this your meeting?
So you don't
Is
want me
it?
to ask any questions.
No, 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 no. You have no standing. You won't even use your real name. You won't even say what your identity is. So why would I, take
Okay.
someone who's obviously getting paid to troll or paid to do something that he's embarrassed
I'm
to
getting
say?
paid? Fuck yeah. Who's paying me?
Why would I take a
Who's paying
question
me,
from
dog?
someone
I
who
need to
won't even
know.
say who they are? Why on earth
I need to know who's giving me the money.
why would anybody do that?
Why would it? Who's gonna pay me? All right. Well, now we're on to a different question. Who's paying me? Because I need to know. Because I need that
Who's
paycheck.
paying you? No,
Yeah. Who the fuck's
that's
paying
what
me?
I'm asking you. Who's paying you?
I don't know, bro. Are you gonna pay me?
Are you unemployed? Are you unemployed?
Are you gonna pay me?
Are you unemployed?
Are you gonna pay me?
Are you unemployed?
Are you gonna pay me
Who
though?
pays you? Who pays you?
You.
No, I don't pay you anything.
Hell yeah, you do.
No, I seriously don't.
All right. So when
So you're saying you're employed by a man called Chris Dorsey? How?
I don't know.
I don't have a bank
is that your
account. How
name?
do I get money to you? You're making an assertion that I pay you. How could I
Heck
do
yeah.
that? How could I do that?
Easy. Easy. Send it to my bank account, bro.
Yeah, but I don't have a bank account.
Why don't you have a bank account?
I don't.
Why?
But why are you asking me
You
a
have a
question?
car,
You
you
made
have
the
a house.
assertion that I pay
How do you
you
pay for things?
Uh,
How do you pay for things?
with money.
Exactly. So you have to
Right.
have a bank account.
No, you don't have to. One does not have to have a bank account to have money. Are you out of your mind? Have you ever heard of
How do
cash?
you go off the grid? Do you do nothing but cash?
Listen, dude. Who pays you?
I'm just asking. I'm actually curious.
Where do you live? Who pays you? You're employed
right
by
now.
the U.S. Are you lying and saying you're employed by the U.S. Army? Is that a lie?
I didn't lie about anything. I didn't even say
Do
anything
you
about my
lie
occupation.
about being? Are you lying when you're saying you're employed by the U.S. Army?
When did I say that?
That's what your profile says, that you're employed by the U.S. Army.
I didn't say that though.
You didn't make that profile that you're using. Who made the profile that you're using then?
I don't know. Some other person maybe.
Then how do you have the password?
Let me tell you something.
How could you log in if you don't know the person who made the account?
Because me and him are tight. That's my
So
homie.
he told you and what's the person's name?
What's the person's name?
That
I
made
told
your
you,
account. John Smith. You're nervous and you're smiling and you're doing a self-soothing exercise by stroking your hair.
You like that?
No, I don't like it. It's annoying.
You don't
But
like
I
me
know
stroking
why
my
you're
hair.
doing it, because you're nervous and you're lying.
You
You're
don't
not
like
from
me
Laurel,
stroking my hair.
Maryland. Are you not from Laurel, Maryland? Are you not
What is that?
residing in Laurel, Maryland?
No.
So the account that you're using with your
I'm in
picture
Canada,
on it.
bro.
Hey, everybody out there, take screenshots of the screen of this guy. It's going to be on recording, but take screenshots, and we'll be able to find out who it is. And his hiding and lying is not gonna solve anything. It's not going to do anything. We know
What
what
do you
you're
think
all
I'm
about,
trying to
dude.
do?
We know what you're all about. You're a
What
waste
is
of
it?
oxygen, dude. You waste
That's so
oxygen,
mean.
and you should get out of this country
Why
because
do you
you
have so
don't
much hate?
belong here, and you're a traitor. Why?
A traitor? A traitor to who?
Why are you such a schmuck? Huh?
A traitor to who?
A traitor to God? You're an abomination on the
God.
planet. You're a traitor
I
to
love
all
God.
that is good, to all the people of the world that represent anything but the deception that you represent. You're like
So,
your father, the devil, a liar from the beginning.
do you hate
So you're
Asian
using
people?
a fake name. That makes you a liar. You're like your father, the devil, a lie from the beginning. That's what you
do you
are.
hate like
So
Asian
why
people
do
and
you even
people
need
of
to speak
color?
anymore? What's your name? Where
For
do
real.
you reside? Why are you employed by the United States Army like you say you
Why do you
are?
have so much hatred in your heart?
There's no hatred in my heart. Why do you have so much hatred in your heart? Why are you a
Who said
liar?
that? Who said I have hatred?
I say you have hatred in your heart. You hate the
Why?
truth and you hate God. You hate
Why
every
would I
living
hate
being
God
on the
if He loves
planet
me?
because you're nothing but a lie. So
God loves me.
why do you project onto others what you display 100% yourself?
No.
Why do
I
you
love
do that?
God.
No, yes, you do. And that passive aggressive and that smiling, like you cannot hide
Do you want me to have a
what you
straight
come
face?
from and where you are.
Do you want me to have a straight face? Because you keep on bringing up my smiling.
I don't want
I
for
won't smile.
anything. I don't want for anything. No,
For
I
a
don't
person
want
who
for
doesn't want
anything.
anything,
God
you're asking
provides
a lot of
everything I
questions.
require. I want for nothing. So learn how to speak
I want
English
for
properly.
nothing too. I want the best for you. Whoever you are, I don't even know who you
You
are.
said I
but
want for
you
nothing,
seem
and
like
then you
definitely
said
a
I
lot of
want the
stuff.
best for you. I don't wish anything from you. I wish to destroy you
Okay.
because you're my enemy.
Why am I your enemy? What'd I do?
Because you were born that way, because
We
you're
never
of your
even
father,
met.
the devil. You're just a liar. You won't even say who employs you. You won't say how you pay for yourself. You won't even use your real name.
So do you hate all people
What's
that
your
are
real
like you?
name? What is your real name?
So do you hate all people that are like
What
you?
is your real name? What is your
For
real
real.
name? I hate no one. We've already established that.
Okay. So how do you feel about
No. What
that?
is your real name? What is your real name?
Okay, but how do you feel
What is your
about Asian?
real name? What is your real name? What is your real name?
Are
What is
Asian
your real
people
name?
also enemies?
What
Who's
is
the
your real
enemy?
name? Hey, Cliff, you getting lots of screenshots of this guy? What is your real name? Who employs you? Is it true that you work for the U.S. Army? Is that true? Are you in Laurel, Maryland?
Are you?
Are you stupid enough to use a fake name but put real information out there? And if not, do you lie about every single thing that you do?
Why do you hate me
No,
so
no, no,
much?
no, 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 no. I'm asking you
Why do you
simple
hate me?
questions. You see, you
I'm asking
wrote
you a simple
down your
question
name as
too.
William Mundey. You say you work for the United States Army and that
Which, by the way,
you reside in Laurel, Maryland, and it's got your picture on it. So either that has to be true or you're using a fake name and using other fake attributes of yourself, all things except for the picture of
okay,
yourself, which is the same thing
but you
that
need to
I'm
know
speaking
something.
to now, or that you're lying about one or the other of any of those things.
I also
That's
have an
the only
English
that's
blood
the only
in me.
scenario that I'm talking about. And you
So like you hate
respond
that
with
part
some
too.
red herring argument about hate. You use the typical
Also, my brother
tactics,
has like
and it's
ginger
already
hair.
been addressed.
He comes
We've
from
already
Irish
addressed it.
descent.
So why are you using a
We have
fake
like the
name if
same
in fact that is your
fathers
fake
but different
name?
mothers, and she comes from Irish descent. So do you hate
No,
my brother?
that's not true. Nothing.
Yeah, it is.
Everything that you're saying is a
How
lie,
can
and
you
we've
tell
already
me?
established that.
No,
So
you're the one who's saying that.
I'm
I
saying,
did not.
is
We
it
didn't
all
establish anything.
you're saying that you're using a fake name? That's what you're saying. So
Okay.
either you're lying on your profile using a fake name, or you're lying now and William Mundy is your real name. Those are the possibilities right now. So both
Okay,
of those are a lie,
but my
correct?
brother he has a different mother, and he comes from Irish and English
No, no, no,
descent.
no, no.
On
What's
his side.
your real name? Well,
So
I see
so
your
so do
face,
you
dude. I see your face.
do you
I
hate
see your
him?
face, man. I see your face.
I know.
If your
That's
mother is
fine. I
Irish,
see your
then
face too. You
your
look fine.
dad has to be like a some sort of
No,
complete
it comes from my
brown
mom's side.
person. No,
Brown person. That sounds
You're
racist.
lying. Okay,
Ooh,
so
that sounds racist.
William Mundy, the individual. Where does that name come from?
What do you mean?
It's the name that you're using.
Do you think that I kidnapped William Mundy?
I think that you're either that is your name or you're using a fake name, and I'm asking where you came up with it if it is a fake name, and if it's not, what kind of name is it? Is that your
I don't
name?
need to tell you about my name.
You said it was a fake name.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's totally fake.
is that true?
Is it?
See, you're lying. So you lie about whatever.
What?
You
Look,
said it
bro.
was fake earlier. So now you're saying
Me
it
and
is
you
or it
need to sit
isn't.
down and have a beer.
So one of those things is a lie.
Look, bro.
And when you
I
turn
wish the
your
best for
head,
you.
your physical appearance betrays yourself. You get a side angle of
Okay.
your nose.
What? You hate my physical characteristics?
All right. Is his real name and you. Okay. Okay. So you lied and said it wasn't your real name when it is your real name.
Who said that?
Maybe. I don't know, some guy.
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's what he thinks. That's what he thought enough to write down.
That's fine. He can think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because you're identified now. You're identified.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have anything to hide.
Well, then why are you saying that you were hiding things?
Because I'm bored. I don't know.
Because you're a liar and you won't. But one thing you won't say is who pays you, who employs you. Is that the U.S. Army?
I don't know. If you read my profile, then I'll say that. Yeah, sure.
So is that true or not?
I don't know. Is it?
You tell me. There's no way for me to tell.
How? Come on. If you're like God's dude, then you should know stuff.
I know
Doesn't
that you're lying about one thing or another. No. I'm not. God's dude, then I should know exactly what the truth is when a liar says it. I know enough to know that you're a liar and that you're paid to lie for a living and that you're a deceptive waste of a human being and that you serve your father, the devil. You serve Satan.
You serve Satan. Why do you have to even ask questions?
You serve Satan. I'm interrogating you. How many times do I have to tell you the same thing over and over again? I'm interrogating you. I'm interrogating you. And now you're getting nervous because, yeah, maybe you do. What in the Army do you do? How many years have you served? How many years have you served in the Army?
Who says that I'm in the Army?
That's what your profile says. I'm going by what either you're a complete liar or you can answer that question. So either I was lying about being in the Army or I've been in the Army for however many years you've been in the Army, or less than a year, however many months, however many years. How many years or months have you been in the Army? How many years or months have you been in the Army? I'm interrogating you. If you think interrogation is childish, then you can think interrogation is childish. But that's what I'm doing to you right now, and I've told you this now for the third time. How many years have you been in the Army? Or was that a complete lie?
I love you.
How many years have you been in the Army, or was that a complete lie? How many years have you been in the Army, or was that a complete lie? How many years? How many years have you been in the Army, or was that a complete lie?
The dude, hey, look.
How many years have you been in the Army, or was that a complete lie? How many years have you been in the Army, or was that a complete lie?
Let's see.
How many years have you been in the Army, or was that a complete lie? What do you do in the Army?
I don't feel like answering that.
Yeah, what do you do in the Army?
I don't feel like answering it. Move on to the next question. Next question.
No, there is no other questions. That's it. That's it. What do you do in the Army?
Well,
what do you do in the Army? What do you do in the Army?
I'm not going to answer your question, homie.
Yeah. Oh, now you're getting a little upset, aren't you? In Laurel, Maryland. I'm not going to answer you.
I'm so upset.
Yeah, I can. That's fine. You're weak at what you do, man. You're weak at what you do. You're a weak individual. Yeah, now I see you licking your lips. You got all the tells, son. You got all the tells, you degenerate. Yeah, and now you're self-soothing by moving around and pretending like.
Okay, fine. I'll stay still.
What do you do in the Army? 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 What do you do in the Army?
But you see my eyes blinking.
What do you do in the Army? What do you do in the Army, or was that a complete lie? What do you do in the Army, or is that a complete lie?
Oh my God, you're exposed.
What do you do in the Army, or is that a complete lie?
Your eyes. Oh, that's a telltale sign. Look at your beard. Oh, wow. Unbelievable.
What the hell does that mean? You freaking moron! What do you do in the Army? What do you do in the Army? You're so dumb. You're so stupid, dude.
Dude, you're exposing yourself right now. Look at that hatred coming out of your mouth.
Listen, buddy. Wow. Don't look at me like that.
I'm interrogating you.
Yeah, right, no, you're not interrogating me.
So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
Don't even think about.
What do you do?
You're seeing what I do, you dumb schmuck. Why do you answer? Why do you answer questions that you've already got?
What's your full name? What's your full name?
What do you do in the Army?
What's your full name?
My full name is well known.
Well known?
Well known.
Wait. Your name's well known. Well, nice to meet you. Well known.
Good one. Listen, what do you do in the Army? What do you do in the Army? How many years have you been doing it?
Doing what?
Do you think it's a good idea to stare at someone like that?
Do what? Stare at someone? We weren't even in person.
You crossed a crazy line, dude. You need to get out of this country. You should.
Why?
You should go back. You should go back to your ancestral homeland because you don't belong here.
What the hell is
that? You know.
I'm of mixed race, so there's multiples. I have Irish in me too.
Pick one. Pick one.
All right.
Anyway, how long have you been in the Army, and what do you do there?
I want. All right.
I know you're in Laurel, Maryland.
Can you send me on the first plane back to Ireland? Yes or no?
No. No.
Well, then how are you going to give? How are you going to give me kicked out of the? All right, look, man. I'm trying to work.
You work for Israel.
I'm trying to work.
You work for Israel. You work for Israel.
What the heck is Israel?
You work for Israel.
What?
You work for Israel.
No,
you work for Israel.
I work for Israel. How?
You work for Israel. How do you not work for Israel?
How?
So are you saying you're not in the United States Army? Are you saying you're not in the United States Army?
No.
No, you are in the United States Army, or you are saying you don't work for the United States Army. What are you saying?
What are you saying?
I'm asking a question. You don't ask questions of me.
I can ask whatever I want.
Are you saying now that you're not in the United States Army?
Why are you trying to take my rights away, saying that I can't ask questions?
Why are you saying no? You don't have any rights. You don't have any rights.
I don't have any rights.
Are you a citizen of the United States?
I don't have any rights.
Are you a citizen of the United States?
Are you?
I'm not a citizen of the United States. No, I'm not.
Okay, then.
Are you a citizen of the United States? Are you? Are you a citizen of the United States?
No.
Really? Why are you here then?
Why are you here?
Because my family founded these colonies. That's not the same with you. That's not the way it is with you. My
Really?
family's been in the United States around the capital region of the East Coast for hundreds of years. No.
Accuse them of being Jewish or something? Didn't you sound accused of telling people of being Jewish descent? And aren't the original founders of people were from like Italy? Because that was Columbus was, so like
the founders of what? The Bahamas? Yeah, he founded the Bahamas. Yeah.
Christopher Columbus.
Right. Founded the Bahamas, yeah. That's where he landed first.
He was looking for India and discovered the United States.
What do you know about that? Are you an expert on that?
That's what they fucking teach in history.
What was the island? What did he call the island that he found on? You know, that he went to first.
He found the United States.
He did not find the United States. Idiot. Come on.
Then who did?
The United States? Well, the signers of the Constitution for the United States founded the United States, you moron. That happened in the late 18th century. Columbus is about 400 years before that, smart guy.
1776.
Look, dude, you are, like, I can tell you're not pretending to be this dumb.
1776 is the founding of the United States. It's
not the founding of the United States, actually.
Yes, it was.
No,
all right,
it's not.
What year was it? What year?
The signing of the ratification of the Constitution, whenever that was ratified in multiple states.
You said in the 1800s?
So, the 18th century. That's the 1700s. But after 1776 was the Declaration of Independence.
Mm-hmm.
The United States of America was founded after that, but you said that Christopher Columbus founded the United States of America. And I know that you are really that dumb. Why do you think you're smart about manipulating individuals or even people when you're so dumb about basic facts? When you're so dumb about basic facts, why do you think you're smart enough to come on and outsmart somebody in another way? Why do you think that? Why do you think I'm saying that? Because that's what's happening, dum-dum. That's what's happening, you moron. You freaking absolute dolt. Give me a freaking break, dude. This is what they put in the army now to do this kind of work? You gotta be kidding me, dude. You're so dumb. You're so stupid, man. You're such a freaking joke. You gotta be kidding me, dude. You gotta freaking be kidding me. You're very nervous. You got all the telltale signs. You join the army because you wish to be tough, or you pretend like you're in the army because you wish to be tough. But I can tell you, it will not end well for you in this country. It will not end well. All right. God bless. Thank you very much. I'm done with you. You dumb schmuck. Eat shit and then do whatever it is they say to do after that. All right?
I wish the best for you. And I guess you wish the polar opposite for me, right?
All right. All right. And I'll tell you, that guy's not a kid. That guy's trained counter interrogation tactics with me, and they didn't work. I mean, not saying he's the best trained at that, because the best trained, they probably wouldn't somehow, wind up showing their face all over Facebook for, I don't know, 25 minutes. But in any event, you know how I like to do that every now and again. These guys are complete pieces of garbage, complete pieces of trash. And now I hope folks got I'll get plenty of screenshots of that guy. Hopefully you got some screenshots. There we go. Yeah. This guy, really, really, really weak individual. But you see where he started looking at me like he was very angry, like he wanted to try something, like he wanted to like, he got angry, and he was prepared to get violent with me, but he was very and this was when I was asking him particulars about what he did in the Army. But again, other folks can take away what they will out of that conversation, but there you have it. All right, we went a little extra, but we're gonna close it out now. Just saying, hey, thanks for tuning in, and peace and God bless.